I don't know if you are like I am, but I spend way, way, way too much time, most likely, figuring out priorities and what's most important and which direction to turn next and which things should take uh, precedence isn't the right word, but I guess priority, which things should take priority. And at any rate, I found myself on a trip to Washington D.C. Well, actually, Washington D.C. was where we stopped on the way back, and about 7:30, 8 o'clock this last Saturday night, and it had been many years since I had been there last, and there was kind of a lot of hustle bustle. I suppose it's always a busy place, and in the summertime, it's probably a lot busier than it was Saturday night at 7:30, 8 o'clock. But the one thing I noticed, there was quite a few buses there, but the one thing I noticed was that there was a lot of young people, probably ages 12 or 14 to 25 to 30 in that range. So like 12 to 30, there was a lot of people in that age range. And they were walking kind of briskly. They had energy. Um, the monuments and everything were way further apart than I remember because when we had been, we got a park service bus pass. And I think those buses were running like every 5 minutes from uh, I don't want to call it an attraction, but from one monument to the next, to the Smithsonian, to the Capitol, to the White House and Arlington Cemetery and so forth. So when we had gone before and we were young and strong and healthy, we didn't have to do any walking basically at all. You just hopped on the bus, hop off the bus, hop on the bus, hop off the bus. And we, like I said, we never really waited for a bus. They were running continuously. So that was really cool. But the one thing that I really noticed was how many young people were there. I'm repeating myself intentionally here, but there were no carnival. There were no carnival rides. There was no rock and roll bands. Nothing that would normally attract people that of that age group. And of course, there was people from all over the world, different locations that had come to see Washington D.C. And it's kind of well, we came in through Virginia, through like the Arlington area, and it's like, you know, it's a built up city. You go through quite a lot of city before you get there. And well, I'm trying to think how I'm trying to say this. You go through a lot of city area before you get there, and so it's kind of congested in a way, but it's really not because most of you have probably been there. But there's a big open grassy area between the monuments, and then there's this big long reflecting pool, and it wasn't exactly like I remembered it. Things I know they didn't move the monuments, so it was me remembering it differently than it was. But I just was really impressed that there was nothing there that would attract kids of that age group other than this is the monuments to the sacrifices that were made to perpetuate freedom here and around the world. Many, many people that have died to allow us to have the blessings and the opportunities that we have in our lives. And I looked into the faces of these lovely, beautiful, clean, healthy, energetic young people, and it just was neat to see that they cared enough about what was there, monuments to wars, monuments to political leaders, um, the the uh, the Capitol building where our government functions and the Supreme Court and so forth, so on and so forth. So it was just a really neat experience, but leave it to me to find some fault with it. Not really, because I don't think I'm really a negative person, but there was a rest room facility near the Washington. Now it wasn't near the Washington Monument because there's this big old long field, football field length grass so you get anywhere close to it. But it was the closest one. There was a couple of lines of porta potties down one part of the grass, which was also way across a big old field, and some other porta potties closer to the street. And then this one little lonely, sad restroom facility not too far from the Washington Monument. Three miserable little toilets in this little miserable restroom. And I'm thinking, where is Ty Pennington when you need him? We need an Extreme Makeover Capital Edition for the whole region, the whole area in there. I'm sure that they tried to do a good job, but I was I was a little dismayed at a couple of things. I looked at the big old grassy area in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. I think that's what they're called. And the grass looked really pathetic. Now we live in a town that's pretty well manicured. Not that it's not a high income area, but it's pretty well cared for. And so I think I've become accustomed to seeing um, lawns trimmed and edged and bushes trimmed and trees trimmed and so this lawn grass was looking pretty sad. There was like brighter green patches and it was uneven and there was areas where there was no grass at all where it was worn off, and so it was looking pretty pathetic. And so I just really wanted to revamp everything. I'm not one that pays that much attention to that kind of thing normally, but I thought here, we had come on the turnpike, the Ohio and the Pennsylvania turnpikes, and they have they don't call them rest centers, they call them service centers. And of course, you pay decent money to use those roads, quite a lot of money to use those roads. But the service centers are gigantic, and we walked into one, and it had, on the way home, this big open area in the service center. Big open area. You could eat off the floors. They were shiny and beautiful, and you go into the restroom part of it, and there's like 30 toilets. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Maybe more than 30 toilets, and electronic toilet, electronic soap, electronic water, electronic paper towels. Everything was electronic, and this big, huge open area. And I was trying to figure out why it was that they built that big open area, because you had to walk from the front door to the restroom was, I don't know, a couple of 100 feet anyway. I'm not good at estimating that kind of thing. So at any rate, I was trying to figure out why there was this big open area. And I thought, well, if you get 4 or 5 buses that stop in there at once, and you're going to have people that are going to need to have air conditioning or heat, depending on the season, stretch out a little bit, walk around, and wait their turn for the restroom. So that kind of made sense when I thought about it. But so I had these grandiose plans of these awesome restrooms to build in the nation's capital, and all kinds of amenities of every sort and nature. And I was thinking we should have a small little kitchen area all by itself, where fresh hot baked cookies were being taken out of the oven at regular intervals and given out for free to the people who had come halfway across the planet to see what there was to see. And not to get graphic here, but the handicapped toilet wasn't even up high how they're supposed to be. And I thought, God forbid that somebody would get in there and not have help and be in a wheelchair and try to maneuver that. That would not be a good deal at all. So I was really sadly disappointed at the way that things were kept up. And I'm sure there's plenty of security around, but there sure didn't seem to be in some of the places we were. And I won't go into details about that, but just was a really interesting experience. And I thought, I have seen some beautiful restrooms in country clubs and nice hotels, and even I went to a dentist at one time who had a knock-down, drag-out, killer restroom. Boy, it was the nicest thing I'd ever seen. And I thought we should at least have something that nice for the capital of our country, and for is bastion the right word? The bastion of freedom. So I was kind of disappointed, and would like to live long enough to see that rectified. Would like to have the time and energy and money to organize people and get some corporate support, and make our predecessors proud of the way that we are honoring the things that they've done. John Adams in particular, I have a really soft spot in my heart for John Adams and the sacrifices that he made in his lifetime. He and his wife, Abigail, made a lot of sacrifices. So that's 10 minutes. That's long enough. Just a little, just a little ditty. It was a fast 1,600-mile trip, I'll tell you that. We didn't sit, it was fine. Everything was fine. We didn't stay too long in any one place, and we had very little time to spend in DC on the way back. It would have been nice if we had a little more, but it was what it was. And I put a little bulletin, I think that's what it was, uh, on this channel last night. If you happen to be in the DC area for any reason, um, take the Capitol Beltway west, and as you pass the Silver Springs exit, before you get to the Kensington exit, on the right hand side you will see one of our temples drop down out of the sky, hanging in the trees. It, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it was much larger and much brighter than I remembered it, and was anxious to be able to see that one more time and see it with my family. And so that's an experience worth going out of your way for. And you can get off on, I believe, the Kensington Chevy Chase exit, and you can drive up to the temple, and they have a visitor center there. But I'm sorry, my voice is really bad today. But it was our general conference weekend, so I knew that all that was probably going to be closed that Saturday. So 11 minutes and 35 seconds. Make a list. Check it twice so you can eat more than just beans and just rice. Bye for now.